welcome to Mishia Madness and Motivation Podcast. This podcast is for anyone wanting to evolve in every aspect of their life. Do you want to be better and live life to your fullest potential? Tune in with your host, blogger, entrepreneur, and beauty executive, Mishia.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Misha, and I am still kind of getting myself together. So I'm sorry I'm a little late today. I'm not sure what is off with the setup today. All right, we outside. Happy Monday to everybody, and I hope that everybody is having an amazing Monday. Today, I'm really excited. I'm excited for a few reasons. First of all, let me tell you guys how last night I went to the store. I went to Quick Check to fill up the gas tank, and I ran inside the store and I'm like, I want something sweet. So I grab a crimpet and then I grab some Edamons donuts, like the chocolate, not glaze, but it's like the hard chocolate covered donuts. And would you know, I paid for my stuff and left it in the store. And I got home and I got in the house and I'm watching TV late night and I'm like, oh, I bought my snacks and I have like a little sweet tooth. And I could not find the snacks. So I'm like, maybe I left it in the car, but it was completely too cold last night to go to the car. So I waited until today. I waited until the morning, until the sun came back up. And I went to the car and my stuff was not in there and I was sick, okay? But last night I did sometimes I like to put little Hershey bars in the freezer for myself and there was one in there. So that's what I ate last night to cure my little sweet tooth since I left my stuff at the store. Like legit spent a full I don't even know, probably like $10 on snacks last night. But I got me another crimpet and I went to the corner store and they had these little cute little 3 packs of the donuts. They're called donuts, if you will. And I like bought all of them out that they had on the shelf because um yes. I don't know how people don't like chocolate. Like I love chocolate. Um any time of the month too at that. So especially if it has almonds or if it's dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. I know some people don't like dark chocolate. They rather the milk chocolate, but there's something about that dark chocolate taste and I absolutely love it. So I'm excited because I got some snacks. I'm excited because my phone came in the mail today. So um if you guys don't know, my phone I was on vacation this one time. And you know how you throw your phone, but it's like it almost looks like as if it's on purpose, but it's totally an accident. And so that's what I did. Like I think I was listening to music and I'm just doing my thing and it just came out of my hand and it flew in the air so high. Of course, right? Of course, it went so high there. And also, of course, it fell on these tile floors and just completely, okay, a mess. I just had to clear all of my notifications so that I can show you guys what my screen has been looking like. Isn't that just ridiculous? I can't see when people are calling me. I've been answering all of my phone calls and I'm just hoping for the best. I'm like, "Hello?" And then I get really silent and then the person they either talk to me, they laugh at me or it's like, "We're calling about your car's extended warranty," and then I just hang up. So new phone is here, looking all clear. So I'm excited. And last week, okay, so last Monday, right? I was so jumbled up. I would even say this week, just having a lot of stuff to do and to think about and to be a part of. And last week on Monday, I had my weeks messed up and I thought, or maybe I was just so excited to have this guest on that I was expecting this guest that I'm going to have tonight. I was expecting them to be here last week, but that is not the case. And I just want to shout out my guests before they even get here. Like, shout out to them because what I tell you, like, super understanding, super patient. And she just hit me back and she's like, "Oh, hey, I have it down for the 29th. Are you good?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." And I know it can be really annoying when you agree to do something and you don't, especially like, the way I reach out to people with the podcast and when I'm talking to people that I don't know from a can of paint. I I can see how it can be annoying to have someone, okay, I reach out to you, we set this date, and then I'm blowing you up, like, sending you the link, sending you everything you need. And then when a week before, messaging you like, hey, are you still coming? And then I have the wrong date, and then I have to send you another link, and apologize and all this stuff. I don't know, but I mean, I probably would be very patient as well, but everyone is not, and I understand that everyone isn't okay with getting unnecessary messages. It's like, girl, we set this date, said the 29th, the 29th is the 29th. But yes, shout out to her for being super understanding. And I'm also really excited because last week I got to touch on just how sometimes we can be in our own way and not necessarily get things done that we set out to to get done, or we may not go for things that we really want to go for, and just we can just be in our own way. And I also touched on how it is the end of the year, and at the end of the year everyone is setting intentions for next year and they're trying to wrap up projects. And last week I just wanted to encourage everyone to just keep going and keep pushing, and remind everyone that no days off does not necessarily mean that you're not taking a break and honoring yourself. It just means every day you are, going to work towards those things that you want to get done, whether it's the smallest thing. That effort will add up over time. And since that was last week's conversation, I think that this Monday just kind of goes with that very well, except it's like the other side of the coin. Like, there are some people who don't even know they're in their own way, which I feel like was for last week. And then you have people who genuinely are like, I know I'm doing something wrong, or I know something's not right and I just need to figure it out. And um yeah, I am excited to bring on Felicia Miller Johnson. She is an all intuitive coach and she helps people get rid of imposter syndrome and live life, like a great life, one where you know what you're, know who you are, know what you're going for, and you can, have a little passion doing it. So I'm really excited to bring her on. Without further ado, welcome, welcome.
Aloha.
Aloha, Felicia. How are you today?
I am doing well. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing really well. Thank you for being here. I explained to everyone how last week I was so jumbled up and I'm like, hey girl, you come in and you're like, oh no, I have it for the 29th. So I just want to thank you again for being like super understanding. I'm just clearly everywhere in my mind these days.
That's all right. I just took that as she is really excited to
Yes.
connect with me on air. But I was like, it's the 29th. It's the 29th.
Yes, for sure. So here we finally are. Could you
Yeah.
just introduce yourself to everyone, tell them who you are and what you're about?
Yeah. So, aloha. I am Felicia Miller Johnson, and I describe myself as an all Proverbs 31 conjure woman. And what that means is that I am married, I have kids, I have a career, I have spirituality, and I have all these expectations that I'm just supposed to do everything perfect. because that's how I was raised in the military background, to where you always got A's. You have to be twice as good because you're a black female. So you got to get it done and goal oriented. And so that worked up until a point where I had my, as I say, come to Jesus moment when I
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, this is not working. You're going to have to show me. And Emmanuel, as I call my spirit team, he showed me. And what he said was, is that, hey, you've heard the phrase work smarter, not harder. Well, I'm here to teach you that you can live smart. And that's where I began my journey of not only achieving things as a businesswoman, but all the way around. But yet I can be cool with it at the same time. I had to learn how to empower myself and work my mojo to
Yes.
be that Proverbs 31 conjure woman.
Oh, awesome. How many children do you have?
I have 2. I now have a
Mm.
16-year-old. Yes.
Ooh,
That is
teenager.
yes, that is official teenager driving himself around, and then I have
Oh,
a 10-year-old daughter.
okay.
Yes.
So they're still, well, 10 is not super young, but they are still pretty young. So
They're
that's fun.
young. Yes, they're young, but they're, like, taller than me, so it's
Oh,
like
snap.
so, when you're kinda, like, glancing up, you it's
It's
like
like, what's going on here? Sit down.
genes, ancestors, can we just say that ancestors? Yes.
Wow. So, what led you into becoming an all intuitive coach
Yeah.
once you found yourself? Yes.
So in the business realm, I pretty much always had like leadership positions, right? And so I was the type of coach that I wanted you to do well. I wanted to know what is your next goal because we're from the military background. So it was like, be prepared for the next thing. And so I would ask those questions of the people that would work with me. It's like, are you interested in my position? Because I plan on being moving on like
Right,
5 years.
right,
And, and that would always be like, what? Like,
5 years.
yeah,
Right.
like real talk. Like I'm making moves. So but people weren't used to that. So I always had that coaching ability. In addition to that, I always had this ability to ask these questions. They got people to be like, good question. Never thought of that before. And which ultimately would lead to someone ascending, going to the next level of success for whatever that is for them. Now, I had that ability, but I didn't think I was going to be doing it for myself as a entrepreneur solo, or as a sole entrepreneur, I like to say as well, that I was going to be doing that because remember the imposter syndrome is that you had to have a safe government job, right? No risk. Keep it simple. You know how to control this. You're used to working in military environments. You're used to working into the government. But that's where Emmanuel eventually pushed me out. It was like, nope, I'm going to push you from this position. I'm going to push you from this position. And then the last position, and then what I mean by push is that the positions were eliminated. So it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah. So 2 times I like to describe it as no one else could do that job after I did it. So,
Okay. That's funny.
so
Did you,
how
what
you,
were you thinking when when it happened more than once? Like when it was the second job and you're like,
what's wrong
that,
with me?
what did you, oh, that something was wrong with you?
Yeah. What's wrong with me? Because it was this catch 22 in the sense of people will say, oh, you're so great in these skills and abilities. And even like, oh, we're looking for diversity and we're looking for leadership. And I mean, I've been in programs to where it was training the next senior, level executives. So when the positions would be, transitioned out, it was like, are you telling me there's nothing else in your
That I can
organization
do.
that I can do? Like, but I'm so great.
Right.
But that's how I knew Emmanuel was like, no, because I am getting you to this position. So I had to, it was part of my shadow work because I always never had a problem getting a job before. It was very easy. I would transition to the next, like it was no thing. So that's where it became my work. It became, are you just your title? Who are you? So I had to learn about myself. And that was part of my whole Live Smart journey. But in that moment about those positions and those jobs, I learned that okay, you just got to sit down for a minute. You got to be. I had to deal with the frustrations of not getting this whole other job. It was so, and then if you know about jobs today, if you've been on interviews, it's not like one interview and done. Yes,
Oh
you
my
got the job,
goodness.
not got
They
the
almost
job.
want to give you a third interview
It's
and
like 3 or
then
4 interviews. It's like a 3
yes.
and 4 interview process now for a job. And I was getting
Ridiculous.
like to the end of these interviews, and they were like, "Oh, we would think you're so great." And mind you, I have this way because I ask these questions, and this is one of those questions that they were never really prepared for. It was be like, "So tell me, now that you've gotten to meet me, what are the challenges you would have about hiring me for this position?"
Mhm.
And twice in two of those positions, it was, "We think you're great, and we absolutely think you can do this job." But I didn't make any hiding of Sevenfold coaching, which I had, which I thought it was just going to be like a side hustle, right? Just
Mhm.
put that on the side. Like, we think this Sevenfold coaching thing is going to become much bigger, and we'll be back here hiring for your position in a year because you'll go on. Now, initially, I'm like,
How
I
are you
can do
gonna
this
tell
job.
me?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yes.
why would I apply for the job if I didn't think I could do this job? And Ella, do you know how long I have been doing this
This.
and that? I'm
Yes.
like that's nothing. But then it was, okay. And so the final straw in that is when I applied for a job, when they finally manually showed me the signs, is when I applied for a job. I didn't get that job, but in the same like email of the rejection letter, they were offering me a position as a contract to come and speak for them. And I
Wow.
was like, it was showing like we value you. We absolutely know you can do this job. It was just I had to have the confidence in knowing that I could stand on my own behind my own brand, my home Sevenfold coaching and do that. And that was something I would have never thought before was, a possibility. I just always thought I had to just be safe
Talk
and
about
just
things happening for you.
oh yeah, it was definitely for me, but at the time, it was frustrating
Right.
as all get out. I was like, no, like this doesn't make any sense. Crying, frustrating my husband, and
Right,
you
and then at
know,
the same time, you're, like, just trying to find a job, so it's like, you
right,
know.
right. So, but then that's when it became okay. How do you do this? So that's where the live smart. And so I've said that several times, but that's the philosophy of how I dealt with those frustrations because I'm all about the practical, and that
Yes.
literally.
What oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
I would
What
say,
is
yeah.
imposter syndrome, though, for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, okay, so imposter syndromes are these thoughts where you say like, "I don't know how I did that. I hope they don't find out that I really didn't know what I was doing. Ooh, I feel like such a fraud. Like, ooh, if they ever found out." It's when you doubt yourself. You're successful, but you disregard your success. Somebody gives you a compliment. "Oh, you did a really great job on that project." And you'll say something like, "Oh, well, it really wasn't just me. It was the team. And part of that was already sort of done." Like you just disregard that success. I can give you an example. Viola Davis. You know who Viola Davis is?
Of course.
Okay. So Viola Davis. So this is her big scene. And you guys can go out there and check on the internet. She had just won her Academy Award. So she goes behind, see, she just gave this great speech, acceptance speech. So she goes behind stage and she has an interview with the news reporter. And they're like, "So, how does it feel?" And she says, like, "I feel like a hack. I'm dealing with imposter syndrome." She was like, "Basically, every time I go to a new job, I feel like I'm starting all the way over from the beginning." Now, mind you, this is the woman that's holding the Oscar. She's like, "Maybe just tonight, I'll accept that maybe I was good. I know I'm not the best," holding her Oscar, "but I'll accept tonight that
I'm being celebrated.
I'm being celebrated and I'm doing a good job."
Yeah.
And it's like,
Lady.
you got the Oscar. She has a Tony. I mean, she is the triple crown. She has all three. Was it the Tony, Oscar, and an Emmy? She had like all
Yeah.
three, which has never had been done. But she totally felt like, no, I have to prove myself over and over
Still.
again. Still. And that's what imposter syndrome is that you are successful, but you disregard the success. Or you feel like, because I had to work so hard at it, that it doesn't mean as much.
How soon after getting that email to speak for yourself and stand behind your brand did you feel like not like an imposter anymore, that you accepted that you were successful?
I don't know if it was so much a time immediately. It
Okay.
was, and what I mean by that, it's like how when you wake up and you're up, but you're not up and ready to go and run a marathon or whatever. You're a little drowsy. So it was like, okay, I see what you're saying. but then you're still dealing with your emotions, right? There be not only was it work related, there was things as a wife, as a mother, that I felt as though I was not doing successfully at all. And so it was, I had to do the shadow work to discover more about who I am. So it's a continuous journey, but what
Yes.
happens is over time is that you recognize it a lot faster. Whereas
Once you do
before
the
you,
shadow work.
right, once you do the shadow work, it's like, oh, you tell your
Do
little
you
Martha.
mind speaking to people about, like, just briefly, what exactly is shadow work? And for anyone who doesn't know, I know it has something to do with like death of ego.
So shadow work is the thought of those things that you put those thoughts in your head, that if you feel as though you are less than in some way that you would not want someone to find out about, how to process that, how to clean that up, and how to clear that. That's the shadow work. Once
Yes.
you have those low vibe energy feelings of, I'm jealous. You saw somebody's post. Wow, they have like 100 and something likes. And you have that feeling of, dang, why they got more likes than I have more likes? When you recognize, you had that feeling of jealousy, and then you process and say, tell me more about what is that feeling of jealousy? Is it connected to your, situation as a child where, you felt as though you didn't get enough recognition for whatever you did? That's the shadow work, the things
Yes.
that you want to hide from others.
Yes. And those things can also be difficult to process. So I think it's important that you're saying, like, you have to do the work and work through it, and think about, okay, well, what made me feel like this, and how can I move forward feeling
Mhm.
differently. So
Exactly.
talking about living smart, what are the 5 elements of living smart?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so living smart, the S stands for see yourself and awaken. And what that means is know more about who you are. So, for example, your name. Do you know what your name means?
I don't. Okay, so my name, my mother given name is Tamisha. I go by
Uh-huh.
Misha for short, but I do not know.
Okay, so look, we're going to have to look this up now. I'm all about the practical. Okay, so how do you spell the full name, Tamisha? T A
Tamishia.
M I. So this is what I do right here, practically in the moment.
Okay.
So Tamisha is an American origin, means an American version of Tamara, meaning the palm tree.
I love palm trees
Of course you do.
because they're in sunny places.
And it says Tamisha usually is a name given to females in the that have a Christianity religion.
Okay.
Yeah. So that right there is saying, okay, now I know my name means connected to palm trees, right? So that may explain to why is it that when I, looking on TV and a palm tree comes up and I just have this feel good feeling about that, right? I resonate with Florida or Hawaii or wherever else there's some beautiful palm trees. It's because that's the energy that is circulating around you. It gives you insight into who you are. So when people speak to Misha, that's what they're talking about, palm trees, and what that means to you. It may be vacation and beautiful breeze and island life, or whatever the case may be. So that's what they're exuding. So for me, there was a time. Now y'all know. I know y'all heard this. That whole phrase by Felicia.
Oh, yes.
Y'all, that was part of my shadow work because it was a trigger.
Yes. I could only imagine, though. I would be so annoyed. Like, don't buy Felicia me.
Right, because the thing about it was when it initially came out, a lot of people don't know what that is from. And
Right.
so it's like that is from the movie Friday with Ice Cube. And in that movie, there is a lady named Felicia, and she is, a drug addict. And basically, she was being dismissed. And hence, that's why the by Felicia, because she was annoying. And so they were
Mhm.
like, go away. And so, of course, I didn't want that feeling for me. So it was a trigger. So I had to figure out, okay, why is that the trigger? Because I learned I don't want to be dismissed. I want to be respected.
Yes.
The perception how people dismiss, African American women, I was like, no, that was a problem for me. So I had to learn how to take the power back in my name. So then I said, okay, so all these people are basically saying is buy happy. because Felicia means happy. I
Wow.
said, "Oh, that's all they're saying is bye happy." Because most people generally were coming from a good place when they would say they'd be like, "Oh,
Yes.
bye, Felicia." I'd be like, "Oh, all they're saying is just bye happy." And if I sensed that there was something else, I was like, "All you saying is bye to your happiness." Okay.
Right.
But it didn't have me to any longer go into those low vibration feelings, right?
Yes.
But I had to awaken to myself. And that sent me more on a journey of, okay, I'm a Capricorn. What does that mean?
Me
Numerology.
too.
Of course you are. Of
Of course you are. Like what?
course you are.
Okay. Anyway.
Right. So what all comes with that, from the Enneagram to my core value strengths. Like I went into this whole exploration about who am I and awakening to that. So that's what the S, to see yourself and awaken. The M stands for master your emotions. So I used to squash my emotions. The one that you may have gotten at the time would have been anger. And as an African American female, I still would squash that down because I didn't want to come off as the angry black woman,
Of
the
course.
mad black woman. So I had a serious poker face where people just be like, I have no idea
Yes.
what she's feeling or, thinking of, or have that case may be. But I had to realize that wasn't serving me. I had to learn how to put actual words to my emotions. When you talk to most people and you ask them, "Hey, how are you feeling?" They won't give you an emotion word. They won't say, "Oh, I'm feeling jealous or mad, angry, bored, frustrated." Most of them will give you a description of a situation. I feel like I am da 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 da. So it became, once you know where your emotions are on that emotional scale, you'll learn how to navigate that. And so that is what I had to learn how to master, was my emotion. Then that led me to, I had to learn how to ask, believe, and receive. And what that means is that when you ask people, what do you want? Most of them don't start with telling you what they want.
Tell you what they don't want.
They tell you what they don't want, which goes into the energy vibe, more of what you don't want, what you're going to attract more of that. What you think about,
Exactly.
you bring about. And so it was, okay, well, what do you want? Because, I was like, hey, I want this job, or I want that, or I want this, you know, um, opportunity to come forth. Like, what is it that you want? So then a lot of people sometimes, okay, they'll ask, but then do you really believe you can receive?
All
And
you
the
have to
answer
do
is
is ask to receive, but I feel you. Believing
believe. Yes.
important.
Important. So, you don't have to come up with these empowerment, the things of how do I ask for what I want, believe it, not doubting it. Like,
Right.
oh, you asked for this, and then you're like thinking, oh, why it's not gonna come, and it derails you from your situation. It gets you misaligned from what it is that you want. So I had to learn how to do that and not sabotage myself. So ask, believe, and receive. The next thing I had to do was a message that I got from a different world, which is the relax, relate, release. And
Wait, how
so
does it go?
relax, relate, release. Girl,
Oh,
it's
I
like
love it.
you have to go out, y'all go and Google it. Relax, relate, and release. And what that is that it's a phrase on a different world in the episode where Whitley was going to a counselor, which is one thing, because there's a stereotype about African Americans don't go to counseling to get help, right? So that
Yes.
was an anomaly there. But she was breaking things down of, okay, yes, you're going through these situations, but you gotta learn how to let some stuff go. You gotta learn how to release some things. I personally was a human doing versus a human being. Because I was go, 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 do, 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 shuffling, what's going to the next thing, next goal. Okay, yeah, disregarding that success. Okay, that's done. On to the next. And I had to learn, like, you know what? You just need to sit down sometimes.
Yes.
Just be present in this moment. So that included learning different meditations and what that meant for me, because it always doesn't mean sitting still and doing a mudra pose. Because yes, that resonated with me, but not always. Sometimes I like to jam out the music, hear a
Yes.
song, I'll be like, oh yeah, that is my jam, because that's what I needed in that particular moment. And so I had to learn how to do all those different things. I learned how to forgive. And that includes, like my Hawaiian spirit of Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Like releasing those things and what that means to that. And then finally, that led to me talking wisely. So this is very much in line with imposter syndrome in the sense of what are you saying to yourself in your head? What are the words you're using? Very much connected to School of Yoda, Star Wars fans, when he told Luke, do or do not, but there is no try. Because trying is a struggle word.
Yes, so was can.
Can't- Right? So it's like if you go and look up the word trying, it literally means difficult, hard to endure. So now put that in front of anything that you're wanting to achieve. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to start this podcast. I'm trying to, go back to school. You're speaking struggle. It's the same with words like should.
Yes.
Should is a shame word.
I'm at that point right now in my life where I'm trying to rework the way that I speak. And it's easier said than done because, you especially like when you read books or the language is already what it is and you're
Hmm.
so used to being or saying or speaking the way that you do. So that's where I am right now, reworking the way that I speak because it is so powerful.
Yeah,
So
very much so.
powerful.
The words
Yes.
you speak, everything that you see started with a thought and then words.
Yes.
Everything. So then it becomes, what are you saying? Are you speaking against the things that you're asking for, which means you really don't believe? So guess what? Yeah, no, you ain't gonna receive it. It's
Right.
not gonna happen. But like you said, a lot of times we're not even aware that we're speaking struggle words. There are times that I can, because it's just the lack of the vocabulary in the moment. So I can say trying, but now I got to the point where if I hear, I'd be like, trying is a struggle word, and so I just pause, like, okay, what is the word that I want to communicate, and just
Yes.
just go from there. But yeah, it's a journey process, but it's like as you continue to ascend and get better and better and better, it becomes easier and easier.
Yes, it does. I
Yeah.
read on your bio, you said first encounters are so important.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way? I agree.
Yes, because like they said, it's like it has that sense of respect, wonder, but then there's also this sense of fear sometimes because you're meeting someone new. I don't know this person. Are they going to accept me? Am I going to be able to communicate? Like all these different things that can go on. But having that conversation with that person for the first time is that first exchange of energy, of connection between you two. And usually that is a very powerful moment because you will ultimately decide, do I want to speak to this person again? Yes, no. Or I appreciate they said something. I needed to hear that today.
Yes.
So there's all these, the connections that's with that. And so that's why I feel as though it's such a valuable thing in each person's life, that initial first connection that you have with someone.
Yes. Do you have any advice, even if it's just one key point? Well, no, actually, I won't ask you that because you just gave us five pieces of advice, very in depth on how to basically show up for yourself first. And I think that all of the five elements of living smart will help people have amazing first encounters, especially if
Mhm.
they work on it. So you speak about also being a mother, and you said, like, as a wife and as a mother, there were things that you felt that you weren't doing right or that you could be better at. Can you speak to that experience a little bit? And then I want to get into just speaking for all mothers, like how. Let's start with you speaking to that first, and then I'll ask the follow up question.
Absolutely. Okay. So I came up in a Christian background. And so there is this woman in the Proverbs 31 that's called the Proverbs 31 woman. Are you familiar with her?
No.
Okay. So I'm all about in this moment right here, right now. So Proverbs 31 is about this mother giving insight to her son about what he should look for in a spouse.
Okay.
And so as a Christian woman, it's literally called the wife of noble character. Okay. So listen to all the things that she does. And this is the premise of the Christianity. So the wife of noble character. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it's still night and she provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it, and out of her earnings she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchant with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faith instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. So, what do you think about this woman?
I, whew. As you
You
were getting
tired?
to the end, yes, I'm tired because I was listening. I'm
It's
like, this lady has to be tired. And then you're like, oh, and her arms are strong. And I'm like, well, they have to be because she's literally doing everything. And I was thinking, like, well, what is her husband doing other than sitting with the elders? But it also, it's just like, I feel like that noble woman is like you mentioned, like a superwoman, someone who can get it all done. Everybody's good, even the people who aren't a part of her immediate family. She's lending to the poor and
Mhm.
helping the needy, and like she lit every corner covered.
Every corner covered, and then she
She
gets up
even covered
early.
herself. Yes, she's even dressed nicely.
She's dressed to the nines. She's beautiful. So what happens is that if you feel as though you're faltering in any of those areas, oh, well, dang, I'm not a wife of noble character. I mean, she bought land. She was a real estate person. I mean, she's sewing. She's doing all these different things.
Yes.
And so it's like, if you're not able to do those things, does that mean I am less than? So part of that belief was like, tag, I'm not doing enough. I'm tired. I want to sit down. I don't want to do this or whatever. Or you get into you got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they're not saying, Mom, you're blessed in this moment. You're like,
Right, right, right.
what? So then we tell you, I'm this fraud. I'm not doing all these things successfully. But there's one part that is freeing, that began to free me from that.
What's
And
that?
that one sentence is when she says she takes care of her female servants.
Oh, 'cause she has
That
servants.
woman has some help.
Okay.
See?
Right. I didn't even catch that because the whole time I'm thinking, well, what in the world?
I mean,
Right.
she had some help. And so that was one of the key things of learning to, like, you know what? I ain't got to do all this by myself. I may manage it, but that doesn't mean I have to do it all. And that's the thing that was so freeing. So when you read the fine print and you look at those things, like, well, if you got servants, I mean, somebody's helping you. I don't have to do it all. I can go and ask someone, like, okay, I don't know how to, one of my biggest things used to be, I don't know how to braid my baby's hair.
Mhm.
I don't know how to cornrow, but the expectation as an African American female, you have to do it. Like, I'm supposed to know how. I don't know. My fingers just
They
don't.
don't work that way.
They don't work that way, right?
Seriously.
So, and my mom has sat me down many times, and my baby is tender headed, and she's got thick hair, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm cool with taking her to the salon. Yeah,
Yes.
she's 10, but that is contributing to the whole cycle. That's like the whole giving. So that means, this sis has this skill and ability. We're just doing a value exchange. Like, hey, I'm coming towards you. You're able to help me. I'm
I'm
able
able to
probably to help
support
you
you.
with something else. Yeah, supporting you.
Yep.
But the expectation, like, I had to do it all on my own. And I'm sitting there frustrated, like, it don't look right. It's coming. Mommy, it's too tight, or it's coming.
Yes.
But
Man, I'm sorry. I was gonna say,
No, go
I
ahead.
actually I know a mom who can relate to that. And it's actually her son has a black father, and so she is like, I don't know what to do. Like, she's like, sometimes she'll text me and she's like, oh, I picked this hair out today and it looks so good. But then, like, some days she'll send him to school and she'll think that, she does her best. And then she'll come home and the teacher will have done something to his hair. And it's like, oh, you need to do your kid's head. And it's like, oh,
Mm,
I thought, you're making me feel bad as a mom. I thought I was doing something.
judgment, yes.
Yes, yes. So I know that that can be hard, and it's also hard to ask for help. How did you get to the point where you felt comfortable with other people helping you with your children? Because I know that can be a sensitive thing.
Yep. So by that time, as far as in like the hair, I had already been doing the shadow work on the other stuff.
Okay.
Right. So it was a lot easier for me to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna, just
Right. About to
eventually
go
just
get
put
this
my
help.
head after my husband saw me struggle a couple times, it was just like, just do that. I remember another one was like when I had my son, and I'm assuming you do real talk on your show.
Yes, yes.
So the real talk is that, I had him and I was just not producing enough milk to
Okay.
satisfy this new baby that I had. So that was like one of the beginnings. This is where I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember distinctly because I had been fed the whole you gotta breastfeed and do all these
Right.
different things, but I was just not producing enough. And so I remember just kind of sitting there and he just matter of factly, we had like because I hadn't even bought any. We had some samples of formula milk.
Oh,
He
cool.
got up, fixed a bottle of formula so fast, and he was like, the baby ain't gonna starve. So
Right.
like release that. And then it was like, oh, you don't expect me every meal? No, I don't. But I had this expectation that I was less than and couldn't do that. And so it was like I, pumped what I could and gave what I
Yes.
had, but I was like, formula supports. That's how it is, but there's those expectations of those things that you're having to do. So like I said, by the time you kind of come on, like at first you'll struggle maybe in something, and there's like there's a reason why there's hairstyles. This is what they do.
Yes.
There's
There's
a
a
reason
reason there's formula.
there's formula
Seriously.
because somebody else was not able to produce. So it's like, yeah, it's just release that. So you have to figure out what is, happiness and success for you. And then if there's something that you feel is like, that doesn't serve me, that's not invigorating me. Okay. I'll, follow up with someone else that can help. I mean,
Yes.
back in the day they called it barter.
Yes, they
You grow
did.
apples. I'm really good at growing potatoes. You get tired of just eating potatoes. You get tired of eating apples. Let's barter. You give me some apples,
Seriously.
potatoes. So it's the same. It's the same principle in that.
How can people build better social connections?
Ask other people about them and really listen to the answer. And then ask another question, follow-up question. And it may be simply be, hey, how are you? Let's just go with the how are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling da da da. Da. Follow up with another question or statement of tell me more about that. And
Right.
you'll
And
be
people,
surprised what people will share.
yes, I was gonna say people, I think people like to talk about themselves.
They do.
Yes, and a lot of
Mhm.
times people aren't given the opportunity to, maybe in their life they don't have anyone that they can vent to. So
Exactly.
sometimes it's that stranger that you meet randomly.
Mhm. That you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow," because it can go either way to where, sometimes when you think you're a stranger, you can feel even more comfortable with that person because it's an energy connection. Like, I feel like I know you and I could say this. I mean, how many times have you connected with somebody, be like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this, but
Yes.
I just feel that I could, share this." And it's that bond, it's that connection. We are social people. And so
Yes.
it's when a lot of times I have found, especially now with the show, is just getting to know individuals and asking about their life that we're connecting with them, which then helps to raise the elevation of their energy level potentially.
Yes.
So I would say ask a question and then ask a follow-up question after you get an answer.
What is the most rewarding part of Sevenfold coaching for you?
Seeing people have that aha moment,
Yes.
and it's just like I can see that light bulb in a sense, like, oh, when they all of a sudden it gets quiet and they start writing things down. I know that something was said for them to hear. They got a message to where that's going to lead them to the next level of success for them. That's going to change their life in some shape or
Yes.
form. And it's cool to be a part of that and co-create, with them. Because that
Yes.
means I'm serving in how Emmanuel has asked me to serve and in my way and being able to do that.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's what I know, that my towns are asking intuitive questions, but then channeling intuitive feedback. Because now you might have known something, but you disregarded it, didn't really hear it. And I come as a human form, which is connected to you. And they'd be like, I knew that. I thought that. When I say this is your confirmation, this is your message. Your team is telling you, go forth. And so it's cool to be a part of that.
That is cool. Who is Sevenfold coaching for?
Sevenfold culture is for those seekers that are experiencing doubt and fear about something in their life. They have an unknowing of what that is, and they're looking for someone to be able to come alongside them and encourage them to help them process through those doubts and fears that they're having so they can ultimately live smart and ascend to new levels of success. That's who Sevenfold coaching is for.
Yes. And where can people find you? And
Yeah.
yes.
Sevenfoldcoaching.com. And then I am also very active on LinkedIn, and you can find me there on Felicia Miller Johnson.
Awesome. And I want to thank you again for being here. This was really nice. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed having you on. And I would love
You.
to invite you back whenever, if you're down for that.
Of course. Sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
and also thank you for everyone who is catching the live or is going to catch the replay. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bye. And I'm going to leave all of Felicia's links down below and make sure that you guys check her out. If you guys are on LinkedIn, go and link up with Felicia. I believe that she is, I don't know, it's just really good energy. I don't know if you guys could feel it through the live. So as always, guys, I am encouraging you all to have an amazing week. I will talk to you everybody on Thursday, and I will see everyone again also on next Monday, which is December already. I can't believe it. All right,
Misha
guys. Bye.
Madness and Motivation Podcast.